Hey, what's going on, pre-Chiro students? This is Dr. Ben, your chiropractor, who is just having connections for you to explore the profession, see what's out there, see what is available to you on this path to becoming a chiropractor. So today we have the director of the Life Force program through Life University, Maggie Rodgers, joining us. Dr. Maggie, can you just get us started by sharing how you got connected to the Life Force program, what your background story was before you got involved with the chiropractic profession, please?
Sure, absolutely. Well, good morning, Dr. Bennett. Thank you for having me this morning. It's great to be here. I'm always excited to share this story and show the passion of Life University and Life Force and chiropractic when I can. So thank you for this great honor. My story began about 12 years ago. And at the time, I really didn't know a lot about chiropractic. I was one of those that was just kind of figuring it all out. And at the time I was married, and my husband at the time decided to this was his journey that he wanted to go on. He wanted a second career. He had an old football injury, and a chiropractor changed his life to where he couldn't an early guy in his early 30s, he couldn't even tie his shoes. And so he started seeing this chiropractor in Colorado, which is where I'm from, and completely changed his life. At the time, that he was construction management, so things kind of were going crazy with the construction world. And 2008, 2009, things were kind of going downhill. So he started exploring it. And the guy that he was seeing, he said, why don't you do what I do? And the guy, and my husband at the time, he was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, be a chiropractor. He goes, I love what I do. I make a great living and I help people. And so he really started thinking about it. And then he started, talking to me about it. And we were already, I didn't know it at the time, but living, what I would call a vitalistic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were a lot of personal things going on, here with my mom and things. And I thought, I don't know. And his chiropractor said, well, there's only two schools I would go to. And one of those is Life University and, down in Georgia. And so we started exploring that. And that was back in 2011. And we, a couple years prior to that, we were really kind of immersed in it. And 2011 came, and my sister was living in Florida at the time. And I was like, well, all right. I'm like, okay, let's give this a try. And I came into Life University doing something different than what I'm doing now. But that was kind of my roller coaster way in. And ever since, since I've been at Life University and through my different positions, it's been an amazing roller coaster ride. I mean, I have learned so much, and attended my very first Life Leadership Weekend, which we'll probably talk about in 2011, opened my eyes. I remember a statement that was said, you don't know what you don't know. And it stuck with me because I didn't know what I didn't know. And my entire life, my entire family's life has changed from that day forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been awesome.
I think that's a perfect little transition. If I'm a prospective student and I'm hearing you talk about how your life was changed, can you describe some of the surprises that you encountered when you stepped foot on Life University's campus for the first time, and what that experience is like to really enter into this new environment that Life University has curated for the incoming students?
Absolutely. So at the time when I came, like I said, I was a guest. So came to a Life Leadership Weekend in April of 2011. And I was immediately struck by what a family this place was. They were so loving, so kind, so genuine. It was my first experience of really being immersed in Life University. A Life Leadership Weekend is a full 2.5-day experience. And when they say it changes your life, it's a transformational weekend, they're not lying. Because when you leave that weekend, and when I left that weekend and flew home to Colorado, I was like, whoa, my entire life is different. And you go home and you think, I can't explain it to people. You really have to go through it. The staff there, the faculty there, the doctors, the Life Force doctors that were there, impacting the students' lives, impacting the guests' lives. And a lot of our guests that come to a Life Leadership Weekend might think, wow, I didn't really know that this was for me, but I'm going, now I want to be a chiropractor. Having the board of trustees involved, having your president, involved with you, and just going through that entire experience. We did experiential learning activities. You learn a lot about yourself. that you didn't know. So even if you go through the weekend and you think, well, I'm not sure if Life University is for me or if chiropractic is for me, you're going to leave a Life Leadership Weekend with some tools in your toolbox that you didn't even have before. And it's a pretty amazing experience. It is transformational, and it is a really huge weekend into all things chiropractic and all things Life University, and it changes your life. Changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember being a student at Temple University in North Philadelphia and meeting a chiropractor who was involved in the Life Force program. And in his office, he would just sit there with me and be like, hey, let's just have a conversation. Chiropractic is a journey. It's a really long road. It's a long path. It's deep. It's deeper than you think. Why don't you just go down to Life University, check it out, spend some time there? So I went to the homecoming weekend. I got to see the rugby game. I got to meet Dr. Riekman at the time and be in a classroom where they were asking us as prospective students to write down what our definition of chiropractic was. So I think that right there is a key piece to any prospective student out there, to be clear on what chiropractic is to you and to have a chiropractor review that and give you some feedback on some potential like short not misconceptions, but some like I want to say shortcomings, but it's not shortcomings. It's like a limited perspective potentially, or a limiting belief that you might have around what chiropractic is and the potential that it has. So going to Life University really did open my eyes to what was possible with chiropractic. So I totally can agree with what you're describing when you first got there and went to that weekend experience. Can
No,
you talk about, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
I was just gonna, one more point on that. I remember when I went, they said, look at the philosophy of the school too,
Mhm.
because Life University is chiropractic through and through. And yes, we have amazing undergrad programs and graduate programs, pre-DC, online. I mean, we've got it all. And rugby, yes, wrestling, athletics, phenomenal. But look at the philosophy of the school, because not all chiropractic schools are the same. Not all chiropractic schools are chiropractic, right? But Life University is the big dog in the race. And so I remember them saying that, okay, look at the philosophy. And that's what is so beautiful about Life University, is that it is vitalistically principled chiropractic. It is true to its core. And you have to, and a lot of schools, they may not teach that. And that's a big part of chiropractic and the philosophy and how it's born. So that was also something that really struck out at me at the weekend. So I wanted to throw that in there, but yeah.
I will reflect that a lot of the interviews I've done with students from Life University have been people that were from Puerto Rico or that were Black students, and the diversity there is really strong. Can you just reflect on how much diversity currently exists at that school? Because I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, no, we are a school that has much diversity. Our international program is amazing. Sarah Gull, who's our international coordinator, does a phenomenal job of, helping our students from around the world come to our university. Over 70 countries represented. Puerto Rico. It's so beautiful, and that's the beautiful thing about Life University, is it embraces and celebrates, and it's everybody. It's all inclusive, and it is such a beautiful place. And I mean, just even being in Atlanta, right? How diverse Atlanta is, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's embracing, and it's warm, and it's heartfelt, and so yeah, I mean, absolutely, all of it. It's just, that was one of the most beautiful things to me too when I came to Life University, and just even being in Atlanta. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
Can you talk about what Life Force docs are doing in their offices to make resources readily available for any prospective students out there, and how students might be able to find a local doctor near them that they can maybe go and connect with?
Absolutely. So I might start off with saying, if people aren't quite sure what Life Force is a program at Life University that pushes chiropractic forward, right? We are pushing chiropractic forward. Our mission statement is, we will not stop until everyone on the planet has access to chiropractic care and a chiropractic education if they so choose. And that's what our Life Force doctors or our Life Force tribe members are doing, because not every doctor or not every Life Force advocate or member is a doctor. They might be someone like me, right? Who is not a chiropractor, but man, do I believe in it. And I push it. And I fight for you guys and I fight for this profession. Love this profession. I stand by it. So these life force warriors, they are, we have just about 1,340 life force doctors or life force tribe members, spouses, counselors, whoever believes in it, right? That are helping to push the chiropractic profession forward. So they work with me, they work with Life University in helping us identify students that maybe didn't know this reality existed, right? Maybe they're hearing about other avenues out there, but and I think we're starting to see a little bit of a tipping point with it. People are, it's getting more and more out there, because you're right, people have a misperception of what is chiropractic. And so the doctors in their offices, or whether they're in schools, or whether they're a spouse of a chiropractor, they're talking about it to their patients. They're going out and they're talking about it in their community. They're talking about it, with like Dr. Tabor Smith, a better way, right? There's a better way to do things in healthcare than just, popping pills. And so, the magical 8-word question is, have you ever thought about becoming a chiropractor? That's huge. And it doesn't matter if you're 80 years old, 89 years old, laying down on that table, if you're 5 years old, because you start planting seeds, because they may know somebody, right, that maybe they have a nephew or an uncle or a brother-in-law that's looking to do something different, or they're in undergrad school and they're not really sure. They're taking kinesiology classes. They're majoring in kinesiology. They're majoring in biology. They don't know all the potential. So they're out there on the front lines asking that, have you ever thought about becoming a chiropractor? And then we provide opportunities, which we can talk about too, of how they can come down and visit Life University. But it's hosting what we called as an SRE, a student recruitment event, or a student information session, just educating people on what is health, right? What is true health? What does that look like? And then, getting them connected with me, and we provide materials, right? I have a whole couple websites for people that they can go on and find videos, find materials, find ways to put out information if they're going to be sharing a session with their community, a health talk. We have our RARs, which are our regional admissions recruiters, or admission counselors, who will then go in and help them run an SRE, or our student life force, right? Our student life force help our life force doctors run SREs, or, so they're doing a lot. They're showing up, right? They're out there on the front lines. They're talking, they're engaged in their communities. They're talking with their patients. And then they're showing up to Life University. They're showing up at our Life Force weekends, which are also the same weekends as our Life Leadership weekends. And they're showing up, and they're just, they're powerhouses. They're letting students come in and shadow their offices, right? So we might have somebody who's on the fence. So I'll be able to call up a doctor, depending on what area they're in, and say, hey, we've got a student that's interested, but they're not really sure. They're looking at PT, they're looking at, some different areas, but they're thinking about chiropractic too. Absolutely. Bring them in. Let me shadow them. And that is what is so beautiful, because chiropractors are moving the profession forward. Right. We are out there on the front lines helping to push it forward. And they are so loving and so embracing and so kind, because that's one of the beautiful things too, is we want everyone to succeed, right? We are all wanting to succeed together and to just help move this profession forward. So there's a lot of ways that they're doing it. It's all based, I think, around lasting purpose. When you graduate from Life University, you really graduate with the philosophy of lasting purpose: to give, to love, to serve, and to do. So you're doing, loving, giving, serving out of a sense of abundance without any expectation in return. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's what Life Force Tribe members do, is they exude lasting purpose. They're just, so it's beautiful. They do a lot.
Right on.
Yeah.
So in challenging the current narrative, or the current experience, so to speak, that happens when a Life Force doc hosts a prospective student, what's the structure look like? What is the follow-up? Is there this longer term process that they bring a student through, where they make sure that a student's been given the opportunity to see the full spectrum of what it's like to be in the real world, what it's like to be in practice, what it's like to be a chiropractor in your community? Or is it less structured and it's more just, hey, come hang out for the day. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me in the future, because I think that we need to do a better job of creating a more robust infrastructure for prospective students to really see that there's a lot they can do to prepare before they get to Life University or before they get to school, to show up on day one ready and focused and clear on why they're there, what their purpose is, and what they're interested in really focusing their studies on. So I'm just curious, is there talk being discussed? Is there already some development and infrastructure for a prospective student working with a life force doc?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of your triangle, right, of people that are involved, and from a Life University perspective. My position, I really, I'm kind of an island that teeters between our enrollment department and our advancement department, right? I'm working with doctors, I'm working with alumni, I'm working with friends, and then I'm also working with enrollment, our admissions counselors, our regional admission recruiters, our events team. So I would say yes. I would say that it's really a wonderful way that people can get involved and find out, if they're on that path to get involved with or to become a student at Life University. One would start with maybe that connection with an AC, which is an admissions counselor, or an RAR, and then or a life force doctor, right? And then getting those people together, attending a session that is a student recruitment event or a student information session that we talked about, what is health, so that kind of they start understanding, they're hearing it talked about, they're looking at it from a different perspective, they're being educated, right? We're learning, right? We learn every single day. And then it might transition into, okay, well, if maybe they weren't connected with a life force doctor and they were just connected with someone with life, we would then want to pair them up with a life force doctor in their area. Okay, you got to go meet Dr. Ben Glass. He's amazing. He's in California. You got to go shadow him. And then I would call you up. We'd send some emails. Absolutely, bring him in, shadow. Do you have any questions? A lot of our life force doctors might even take them out to lunch, right? Let's have dinner. Let's have lunch, right? And then the next piece is, well, you got to go to a life leadership weekend. So what's wonderful then too is a life leadership weekend is, with being a life force doctor, you can give them a life force benefit package or a life force scholarship, if you will. So as a life force doctor, right, you would be able to say, okay, Maggie, you go down and check out Life University. Here's up to a $300 travel reimbursement. Here is 3 nights hotel stay, meals on event days, and all your shuttle needs. All you got to do is get the time off work or get the time off from school. You just show up. And so then they show up, and then we help them. We help them answer all of their questions, taking care of their enrollment questions, their financial aid questions, whatever it might be. And at the weekends, why it's so important, these life leadership weekends, is because then we also have our life force doctors come back to these weekends. So we may have doctors that keep sending students all the time, and they might even come down to that weekend because they know they sent Maggie, and they want to sit at that table and have a conversation with her, right? And so then they'll show up, and then that process kind of builds from there. Or they can, if they can't attend, life leadership weekends offered 4 times a year. If they can't attend a life leadership weekend, we would have them come to maybe they could come to a DC tour, which are offered twice a week, half-day programs, Mondays and Fridays. But there really is kind of a process. And then we'll connect them with student ambassadors and our student life force, right? And then our student life force are our extensions of our life force doctors. Our student life force, I have 26 student life force. They're out there hosting SREs. They're out there totally engrossed in Life University, leaders of the school, helping in all different ways, but answering those questions of prospective students. Because I will tell you, there is, even more powerful than a life force doctor is a student life force. Because when a prospective student can talk to another student who's already going through the program, that's what they want. They want to see, doctors out there making it and successful, but they're in the trenches right now. So they really connect with the student life force and the people going through the program. So yes, I think we have a really great system. And as long as doctors just stay plugged in and they stay connected with me, I help them all along the way. I mean, because we've got a big job to do. We got a huge job to do. This world needs more chiropractors, a lot more,
And just like creating a garden, you really have to tend to the soil, and you have to make sure you really take care of that seed, because the seed is more vulnerable. It's more potentially at risk of damage early on. And it's just more susceptible to the elements. And I think that's a strength, and also potentially a weakness that currently exists within that moment where you meet a student. If they're impressionable and they receive a message that aligns with them and their values, then they're going to be attracted to it. But at the same time, if they don't see something that makes sense to them or is attractive, they're not going to be interested, and it's going to be really hard to get that second chance. And so I'm just curious, is there sort of a mechanism in place where there's sort of like this follow-up and really just checking back in with people? Because the world is very distracting right now. There's a lot going on, and if you're a student and you get exposed to a chiropractor, maybe in your classroom, or maybe you see a chiropractor, I say a student, prospective student, and you're attracted and you're like, wow, this is really interesting and different. You may never hear about chiropractic again for another 6 months or a year or 2 years. And you end up going some different direction that might not be as satisfying as becoming a chiropractor. So I'm just curious, like what currently exists that you've seen that's really helping prospective students stay connected to chiropractic after a life leadership weekend, after they've had that mentor doc support them in an office shadowing opportunity, or a student life force doc talk to them on the phone or see them on a campus tour. What's that follow-up process look like? I'm just wanting to explore that with you.
Absolutely. So I love your seed analogy, because I think, I think chiropractic finds you, right? If chiropractic is speaking to you and it found you and you attended a life leadership weekend, you're there for a reason. It sought you out. Seeds, life leadership weekend, right? Planting seeds. So not only are you cultivating it, and you're watering it and you're fertilizing it and getting, making the sun shines, but you're planting seeds. So it may not hit you right away, but you attend a life leadership weekend, you're planting seeds. Maybe you're going to finish up your undergrad. Maybe you're going to explore different opportunities, but the seeds are planted. And whether you enroll in 6 months or 3 months or 2 years from now, we've planted seeds, and we see a lot of people that come back after the seeds have been planted. With regards to follow-up, we have a really robust CRM. Our enrollment management system, extremely robust. We've put a lot of effort and detail and follow-up into this. Our enrollment team is dynamic. So as far as staying connected with them, with our CRM and our communication, golden. It's spot on. It's awesome. It's robust. It's doing a great job. Our life force doctors and our student life force, and even I give every single person my cell phone number. I know our life force doctors give their students and people their cell phone numbers. Some doctors are super, super busy. I mean, you're going to have a mixed bag with a lot of people, but I think most doctors that you will talk with, and when they're sending students, they're going to give, this guy Joe over here his phone number, and he's going to you call me anytime you come in and shadow, because those relationships have blossomed. And not only, if they come to a life leadership weekend, they're going to make friends in that weekend of other prospective students. And there's going to be connections made that will be lifelong, because it really does change your life. So I think between our CRM, our management system there with our enrollment team and our life force doctors, being on the front line, staying connected, our follow-up, and student life force, student ambassadors giving their name and their number. It's pretty dynamic. Could it be better? Always. We always can strive for better. And but as far as our enrollment management system, it's phenomenal. It's robust. It's great. And just need more doctors. And our doctors, a lot, and that's one of the things we talk about too. And you'll hear Dr. Chuck River say this. He's like, when you enroll a student or you send a student, you're there with them for the entire time. You don't leave their side. You stay with them, you stay connected, you stay engaged. They need you, you're there. And so that is definitely a philosophy that we pass down into our life force docs, is that, we got to stay connected. We got to help each other out and support each other.
Mhm. Eric Plasker just commented and said, Maggie, thank you for all that you do for chiropractic. You're making a huge difference. Can you talk about the impact that Eric Plasker has had with the Life Force program and Life University at large?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, I love the Plasker family. Okay, yes. Thank you, Dr. Eric. Oh my gosh, and his wife, Lisa. I just love them so much. Okay. Gosh, he's done about 40 Life Leadership Weekend talks now, I believe. So he does an opening. He does a talk with the students, our prospective students, on Friday night. So Friday, the Life Leadership Weekend. Friday's kind of a long day for our students, right? But they end on a high. They start off with, what is chiropractic? And they, some people may have not even have no clue what chiropractic is. So we do an amazing session in the morning of what is chiropractic. And then they go through all kinds of, details, tours, everything. And then they come to, Dr. Eric Plasker on Friday night. He spends an hour and a half with them. Wow. It's life-changing. It's eye-opening. It's real. It's raw. It's emotional. It's heartfelt. It's purpose-filled. It's educational. He shares stories from his life, his practice, and he changes lives. He has a huge impact. And then we get to our testimonial dinner on Saturday night, and there's always 1, 2, 3 shout outs. I didn't know what I did. I didn't know what I didn't know, or Dr. Eric Plasker changed my life. It was that talk that was the pivotal moment for me to decide to become a chiropractor. That's what he does. And talk about somebody who's on the front lines. Woo! He's powerful. He's driven, and thank God for him. So yeah, he is a force, right? And I love him because he does this will not stop, and I do it too. But he's always like, we will not stop, and it's like, we won't. We're not gonna stop. So he's dynamic. Yeah. So he brings a lot to the program for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had him on here, and his presence is very big, and it's very much like, wow. If you're a student and you hear his message, you've got to connect to one part of it. There's so much there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the future look like for Life University? How are you seeing the trajectory over the next couple of years with the Life Force Doc program growing and the profession growing?
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting. I mean, our enrollment was up 19% last year through COVID, right? Through all the madness that we're experiencing. Life University is strong. Life University is dynamic. We're on the front lines. We're changing the world. I don't know if you've heard this, but the not so little university that is changing the world, that's us. We are literally changing the world. Our president, Dr. Rob Scott, is a phenomenal leader. Phenomenal. His presence, his leadership through the entire 2020 and now into 2021, unmatched. Couldn't imagine it under any other leadership. Life University is going places. Life University, our athletics programs, our undergrad graduate programs, our involvement within, in the world, being on the front lines, we're changing lives. It's only going to get better. Chiropractic is, expected to just keep growing. People are, figuring out, more and more what's going on and what is true health and, and, oh, wow, there's a better way to do something than not just, pills and surgery and all of that. Not saying there's a place for that. Right. But it's, chiropractic is beautiful and amazing. And people are waking up. So we're just going to keep growing Life Force. I want anybody that has a passion to grow to spread chiropractic. So if you're out there and you're already sending students to Life, and I hear this all the time, oh, I already sent students to you guys. Okay, you're a Life Force doctor. Join us, because then you can give them a scholarship, and then our Life Force doctors also get really great benefits, early registrations, discounted pricing, parking pass, which is really cool. But it's just all kinds of cool stuff. VIP invitations, things with Dr. Scott, intimate sessions. So there's a lot of great, and it does not cost anything to be a Life Force doctor, just a little bit of your time. And if you're already sending students anyways, you're a Life Force doctor. Why not give them some benefits to be able to come to a Life Leadership Weekend with some scholarships and some things to make their travel a little easier? But we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep growing. I'm going to keep spreading it. I talk to everybody about chiropractic. I mean, it is my life. And I'm at Life University, and I do what I do because I love it and I believe in it. And I know how powerful chiropractic is. And so Life University, yeah, we're not stopping. We're growing. We're thriving. We're amazing. We're doing awesome things. It's a beautiful school. It is. The university is, it's just changing the world.
I love the energy. I appreciate the vibe, catching the early morning vibes from you right now. I can only imagine what it's like at 3 p.m. or 8 p.m. But yeah, keep it up. It's incredible work that you're doing, and I'm hoping to collaborate with you in the name of pre-chiropractic in the near future.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. I thank you for what you're doing by spreading the message and educating people on what chiropractic is. That's important. So yeah, I thank you for the opportunity. Anything that you need, if you need materials, support, links, let me know, because we have a big job to do. We've got a mountain to climb. We're climbing a mountain, and but we're not stopping.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, are you in collaboration? Are you in connection at all with like the Champions for Life program at Life West or the ROAR program at Sherman? Do you talk to the admissions departments? Did the admissions departments talk to each other? I'm just curious.
No, we're separate universities. Some people do think, oh, Life West and Life University, you guys are the same. No, we're not. We're completely different. I don't. So I don't know if anybody, yeah, but no, our enrollment departments are separate. Our Life Leadership Weekend is separate from the other weekends. Life Leadership Weekend has been around for 14 years. It's been around a long time. So I think it was kind of the first one, right? The
next couple that are taking place? What are the dates, or
when
April, can people connect?
Yeah, perfect. So our next April weekend is April 16th and 17th. And if they just go to life.edu/visit life, they can sign up for a Life Leadership Weekend. If they can add me, just put my name down, Magi Rodgers, and you'll get some Life Force benefits to come check us out. You can email me too at maggie.rodgers, or just, lifeforce@life.edu. That's easy to remember. And then our next one is in July. And so 4 times a year, April, July, October, and January.
Okay.
So 4 times a year. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to just keep making it available. I just want to connect the dots, make any pre-chiro students out there able to come and at least visit Life and spend some time in the Life Leadership Weekend. It sounds like a great opportunity.
Fantastic. And you're welcome to join us anytime too. So anytime you want to come down, let me know. We'd love to have you. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm getting involved.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely.